Hi everyone, my name is Trevor Leong and I am a junior in construction engineering and management. Today I'll be talking about my 2023 summer internship. So this summer I worked for a Berkeley building company, which is a small general contractor slash construction management company, and their main office is located in Reading, Massachusetts, but there's a secondary office in Dover, New Hampshire. I've been with this company for 2 summers now, and during the summer they have lots of work at different colleges in the Boston area like MIT, Harvard, Northeastern, BC, and BU. And employees of the company like to call this Summer Slam. So during Summer Slam, I served as a assistant superintendent at both Harvard Kennedy School, which is shown in the bottom left, and Harvard Smith Campus Center, which is shown on the right. At Kennedy School, we were renovating and modernizing 2 rooms in the Littauer building, and our client wanted our company to essentially copy 2 rooms completed by another contractor. I spent most of my days at Kennedy School supervising subs, doing loadouts, documenting progress on Procore, and helping the Reading office workers if needed. I was in the office the previous summer, so that's why I kind of served as a field and office role. So at Harvard Smith Campus Center, I helped the superintendent deal with subs over there because he was overloaded with jobs on the 5th floor. He had 2 on the 6th, a small project on the 7th, and 1 on the 9th floor. So moving on to a couple pictures. The pictures of the left and the middle are the before and after, respectively, of Harvard Kennedy School's demolition. This was the bigger of the 2 rooms, and the ceilings in this room are definitely lower than they seem in the picture. But the pre-existing ducts were a big issue in that middle picture, which I will discuss later. And at this point, I hadn't really been on a construction site before, so it was cool to see the demolition especially. The picture on the right is of 6th floor of Smith Campus Center, and replacing any carpet in that main corridor wasn't on our scope of work, so we had to make sure to put down floor protection and maintain it throughout all the projects we had on that floor. Another thing is that Harvard Disabilities is also on the 6th floor of Smith Campus Center, so it's very important that we kept the floor protection clean and allowed for any students on campus to get to that space if needed. And if we were to walk through those doors on the right picture and go through them, we come to a temp door and a temp wall. There were offices on the other side of that door that worked all throughout summer. So a temp door and temp wall were installed, which allowed office workers to enter our space and not allowing us to enter their space. And this is because the fire escape was in our stairwell and our side of the temp wall and door. So if there was a fire in the office or on our space, we would leave through those staircases. And yeah, that's why we weren't allowed in their space. Another thing about this picture is that we had a freight elevator, which was great for getting materials in and out of the loading dock. And especially just led right to our space because Kennedy School did not have as much accessibility. So this elevator saved us a lot of time during the project. So one of my greatest triumphs over the summer, I think, was dealing with the design changes at Harvard Kennedy School. Our preliminary schedule showed us finishing the job the day I had to leave to come back to Purdue. So dealing with those existing ductwork issues, it affected our ceiling heights, and it changed projectors and screens that were in the initial design. The design team ended up scrapping the projectors and screens because they became inefficient at a certain height, but they took a lot of time to make that decision. So that ended up hurting us because our project was on hold and we didn't have any work we could do. We had no subs on site. So I was over at Smith Campus Center at that time. So we ended up being around 2 weeks behind schedule because of this. And to make up for lost time, we had to work almost every Saturday from that point on. So I think that this was my greatest triumph of the summer because my boss couldn't come in on weekends due to different personal issues. So I was the sole person on site. I had to open and close the job site, coordinate subs, manage safety and mitigation on my own. And one of the things on campus was there were a lot of different lectures and even students coming back even early for early start. And moving on to lessons learned, one of my biggest lessons learned is to ask questions. Don't be afraid of asking questions. I'm a pretty hands-on person, so when it comes to learning what different subs do, asking questions without physically doing the work was how I learned. And also, there's a lot of terminology that's specific to construction. It can depend on the region you were working in. So I went straight to my mentor with any questions I had and compared it to what we learned here at Purdue. Communication was also something I worked on over the summer, especially in a small and noisy room. It can be hard to hear even your phone ring sometimes. So making sure to clearly communicate with either the client's reps, subs, or your mentor is essential to complete the project. And my final lesson learned is to take charge of your education on the job site. You need to I put in a lot of effort to review drawings, understand scope, mitigation issues, safety plans, and future sub-coordination, and so on. Basically doing anything to provide success in the future and executing that is a huge step up from everyone else in construction. So just putting in that work, taking charge of what you need to do is something I learned. And especially if it takes up your free time, you might have to spend extra hours outside of work, like in the evening, just to review stuff. The job is never fully over. It's always going, even if you're not on site. So that's been my presentation on my summer 2023 internship. Thank you for listening.